Hi, I'm Dylan Harrell, and I'm here with Aaron Gastyne, a seminary student at Liberty University. Aaron, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, Dylan. It's great to be here.
So, first off, do you actually believe that taking a God out of America is detrimental to society?
Taking God out of America, we really have to define terms here. Mm-hmm. We can talk about taking God's name off of government buildings. We can talk about taking in God we trust off our coins. We can take out references to God in our society. We cannot take God out of our society. He's here, He's present. I would say that taking references to God out of society is and can be very detrimental. I think that not only are we sliding away from God or just religion in this country, many people are, as the Oxford Dictionary says, post-truth. They've completely gone beyond all religion, but they've also slid from an objective morality, even just a right and wrong. So we've gotten so far away from not only Christian truth and not only God and references to religion in this country, we've lost morality.
Right. And how do you feel knowing that America is slowly becoming more secularized, slowly losing that sense of morality, as you mentioned?
As a Christian, personally, it's not the most fun thing to see, you know. God is who I believe deserves all the glory, all the praise, all the honor for all that we do. So to see in the nation that we love, to see His name stripped from things, to see people just stop even referring to Him, that is tough to see. But I do, again, think we need to delineate between the secularization of our society and really just people actually being honest about where they truly are. I think originally, when this country was started, there were Judeo-Christian values that a lot of our founding fathers ascribed to, and a lot of that found its way into the Constitution, and I think our country has been blessed by that. However, I would say that we're in a country where the traditional religion or the primary religion is one thing, say Christianity. A lot of people will attribute Christianity to themselves just because it's the majority opinion. You know, so when we go through these things, when we see that, there is a danger of secularization and eventually persecution. So if it becomes not the majority and things start to happen where physical persecution and shutting down and propaganda against Christianity, yes, that is a bad thing. And Christians will have different issues to face. But in a nation where the majority is Christianity, which in America has been for quite some time, when you have that, you have people who, on the other side of the equation, who they say, I am a Christian, but their lives don't reflect that.
Right. Well, going off of what you said, then how do you think real Christians that truly believe in Jesus Christ and His message, how do you think they should respond to these changes?
That is a tough issue. I was listening to an interview just the other day where two political commentators are going back and forth and arguing about the recent Black Lives Matter issue, and one of them brought up a great point. They said, okay, if this is the wrong way to protest, what is the right way to protest? And that was a question that kind of left them reeling, kind of left them speechless. They had to kind of evade the question, because I don't think that's something that we're thinking about. If Christians, if they feel that in the First Amendment their right to exercise their religion freely is being impinged upon, what is the right response? I don't believe that the right response is to, again, march up and down the streets or yell and say that, like, you need to put God's name back on the coin or back on the money. I think that we have the privilege in this nation of being a part of the federal, the state, and the local political process that, to be honest, most Americans don't take advantage of. People almost laugh sometimes at, like, writing letters to congressmen or going and meeting with a local representative of the local government. But those are things that we are afforded in this country that people in other nations are not afforded. And I think we have a lot more power as the American people to say something and to stand up for something in the right way, in a way that it was, as the founders of this nation created this government, they gave the people a voice. again, originally coming out of Britain, like we had a voice. So that I think that people need to take advantage of that rather than violence or destruction.
Going off of that, why do you think Christians aren't responding or acting or reacting to these situations? Why do you think so many Christians are silent on this matter?
That's another great question. I think there's a couple different answers, a couple different good responses. I think in general, in this country, we've lost the ability to disagree with one another civilly. I think as we come up to a situation, because there is the potential for someone to come against us strongly merely for what we believe, not even how we say it, but merely what we believe, there's fear. I think there's fear in Christians to stand up for what they believe in because they don't know what the reaction will be from anyone who they're talking to. I think fear is a primary cause for that in our nation. I think also, if we have to be honest with ourselves, laziness. I think that is something that it affects us all, but I think it's something that, again, we have the privilege and the ability to stand up. We have the privilege and ability to speak well, to write well, to communicate well, so that we can make our voice heard. And I think that's something that few people take advantage of. Education right now is struggling. Literacy is struggling. So as we talk about these things, it's not just a one-faceted issue. We need to address it well. We need to engage civilly, and we need to not be offended anytime someone comes at us with a different opinion. So if Christians would like to stand up for that, they should do that. But they should also hear out the people who say, well, I think this goes against my First Amendment rights. I think you're impinging upon my First Amendment rights. I think they should talk about that. I think there should be some civil discourse so we could say, all right, what is the standard? How can we get back to First Amendment right of the Constitution?
Right. Well, thank you for those thoughts. How do you feel Christians today should train their children, or just train any young person that's growing up in this country to, as you said, to not be lazy, to be able to think freely, to be able to civilly argue, civilly dispute these issues? How do you think, for lack of a better term, more experienced Christians should train the younger generation?
I think it starts being able to speak about what you believe, being able to communicate well with others starts with knowing what you believe. And I think that, if we want to trace it back, I think that's where a lot of America has struggled, and American Christianity specifically has struggled, is Christianity has become, in a lot of people's minds, this anti-intellectual faith, where you get into an argument with a Christian and they have really nothing to back up their point, which is sad. But if we want to change that, if Christians want to change the way they are perceived, again, it starts in the homes. It starts with parents. Before even communicating a love of reading the Bible, which I think that should be that should definitely be something all Christians should do, but communicate a love of reading. Communicate a love of knowledge and growing just in your understanding of the world. That's why I love talks about worldview and talks about personal beliefs, because until you really know what you believe, until you really have firm convictions about what you want to communicate, you have no authority in your communication. Because someone can ask you a question, you can give one answer one day, one answer the next day. You have no idea. So you're skirting around questions. I also believe that Christian leaders need to take more initiative in looking for those younger people who are struggling with some of these things, with not knowing how to communicate well what they believe, or they're being attacked on their personal beliefs at school. I think older Christians need to spend time with these younger Christians, teaching them, encouraging them, reading the Bible with them, reading the Constitution with them. It doesn't have to be something that it's like Christians over here and government over here. I think we can work together to be Christians in the public sphere and do that well.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Aaron. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. It's all the time we have today, but thank you so much.
Thank you.